You're listening to the A Bit From Within podcast with Felicia Marty. All of these places where these fears come up and some of these, kind of fear, phobia type stuff, they are all having to do with not being able to be in control. And that's where faith comes in. Hi there. Thank you so much for joining me today for a new episode of the A Bit From Within podcast. I'm Felicia. For those of you who don't know me yet, I am a yoga teacher, meditation teacher, wedding photographer, and podcast host out of Denver, Colorado, doing a little bit of everything, I guess you can say. This week, I just got back from 3 days in traveling to Maine. It was quite a whirlwind. Originally, Dave and I were hoping to actually get like a week-long vacation scheduled, be able to go back and see his family and shoot this wedding and spend some time in the fall colors along the East Coast, but it didn't really work out that way. Dave is having some medical issues and was actually not able to fly, so we did a really big shuffle with the company, and one of my teammates, her name is Noelle, she was able to travel with me to Maine. She shot the wedding photography, and I stepped into the role of videographer, and we had quite an amazing adventure. And kind of started on Friday morning with going to the airport, and kind of honestly, for me, it was kind of refacing a little bit of a lot of fear that had gotten built up around this plane ride after what Dave and I had experienced 6 weeks ago when we went to Chicago. Dave's kind of health incidents kind of started on this plane ride to Chicago, and it's kind of just, I really didn't realize until last week just how much new fear around planes that I had been experiencing. And I was feeling really uncomfortable with this because I kept telling myself, like, you're not scared of flying. Like, you've flown since you were, a child. So not that I like travel all the time, but I've consistently, at least every other year or so, like usually I've been on a plane. So I'm like, you've done this. Usually the only part of traveling that really, really stresses me out is like, just like the getting into the airport, getting through security, not, it's not, obviously I don't feel scared that like something is going to happen during airport security other than like, what if I don't take my bag out, or what if I didn't pack something correctly, and what if something happens, it's just all of those unknowns. And I mean, it's not like with flying on an airplane that like, I feel like I'm a pretty normal traveler. Like, I don't love the takeoff. I don't love the landing, but it's never like terrified me. And this time I was feeling so much anxiety, and I was really trying to allow myself to talk about it, like research, like fear of flying, like just try to put it out there a little bit more instead of holding it in, because I felt like the more I held it in, the worse it got. And so then I kind of realized, I'm like, you know what? I've got to go. First of all, like there's no way out of this. And second of all, Mercury's in retrograde right now. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a huge astrology lover, and I talk about astrology quite a bit. So Mercury is in retrograde right now. And this usually happens 3 times a year for about 3 weeks at a time. Mercury looks like it's traveling backwards, and we call this a Mercury retrograde. And it's kind of got this reputation for making things kind of wonky, especially a lot of everyday things like communication, technology issues, travel. That could be like traveling in your car or flying on an airplane. Sometimes it's notorious for like long delays or changes in plans or contracts falling apart. Or for me, I swear, every single Mercury retrograde, like all my passwords just get like go wonky, like the same, like, I feel like I'm pretty safe with my passwords, but like a password I know is correct will be like, nope, not right. I'm like, Or like all of the passwords will just suddenly like not be in the keychain anymore, like things like that. I was dealing with quite a bit of that this morning, so that's why that example is fresh on my mind. But I was really a little extra nervous for traveling during this Mercury retrograde because I thought like, oh my gosh, what's going to go wrong with this? Like, are we going to have bad delays? Are we going to do this or that? And then I thought, no. Those are just like stereotypes that people use as examples. And sometimes they happen, but you know what? I'm sure plenty of you have experienced delays in traveling when not in a Mercury retrograde too, right? Or things undoing themselves when you're not in a Mercury retrograde. Like life is going to happen how it happens. But what I really like to look at retrogrades times for is this chance of being able to review or to reevaluate or to evolve things. Like just let things that were once one way change. And I thought, you know what, this is kind of cool that I get to face this fear and I get to reprogram how it felt to be on a plane, since the last time I went was a very, very stressful ride. And I get to make a new memory with flying on a plane and really try to let it be a better experience. And, you know, through the past 6 weeks, and then especially facing this plane ride, I was really feeling a lot of my control issues come up. I'm about to just reveal like a lot of my neuroses, which I'm sure many of you already know, but I guess I'm just going to be owning them, publicly speaking about them. But I realized that part of what I've been struggling with on planes is the claustrophobia of it and then not being in control, right? Like you can't really control who you sit next to. You can't control who's on your plane. You can't control how it's going to be. You can't control the experience flying through the air. You can't control getting off the plane if you don't like it anymore, right? Like you're pretty much, I don't want to say trapped because I feel like that's a triggering word, but essentially you are where you are. And this has been something that has like slowly, creepily gotten a little bit worse over time for me, where I just have been really struggling with those places in my life, those that you can't avoid, that you can't escape. And you just got to go through. And so I've been really working through this Mercury retrograde, and especially with this trip back to Maine, to really allow myself to notice how I feel. Like I feel uncomfortable with this, but I'm going to choose to experience it anyway. I'm going to choose to get through it, and just really working on my own ability to be more confident with what I can face and what I can do. So for example, like I kept thinking like, well, the flight to Chicago was so much shorter than the flight to Boston. And I kept thinking to myself, like, that was horrible. And then I was like, oh my gosh, the flight to Boston is going to be like almost double. That is way too long, blah, blah, blah. And then I was like, no, stop. Like, there are plenty of things you can do on the plane. It's shorter than a shift at Starbucks used to be, because I used to work at Starbucks, things like that, or even at Apple. I used to work at Apple. Shorter than that. I once flew from Denver straight to London. That was like an 11-hour flight. So, if I could do that, and had no problems, like I can do this. And I had to keep like telling myself, like, I can do this. I kept looking at the other people who were at the airport. And I'm like, these people are traveling. And you hear people talking about like, oh yeah, I went here. Or like, oh, we used to travel for this. And like, you see people who are really experienced travelers. And I had to keep kind of reminding myself, like, people travel all the time. People of all shapes and sizes. There are babies, there are children, there are old men, there are people who have health issues. There are people who were born, with a hole in their heart that travel on planes. Like, it is safe to fly. I had to really ground myself in this. Like, it is safe. It's a profession. People choose to do this for a living. They literally fly tons of flights a week. If they can do it, then I can do it. And so I really worked on re-healing this part of me. And luckily for me, my travel partner is the sweetest, most calming, kindest, joyful, like just light shining out of her person. And she was a wonderful person to stand by me, very non-judgmental of my anxiousness, and just trying to work through this. And honestly, the flight there ended up being one of the best flights. Like, the whole plane was so quiet and everyone seemed in a pretty good mood. It wasn't overly tense. And we got there really quickly. The flight attendants were amazing. Like, it was not bumpy or turbulent at all. It was a dream. It was like probably one of the best flights I've ever taken. And I thought, okay, wow, what a wonderful experience that was. I'm going to really feel that in my body. Just how safe I felt, how comfortable it was. That was really awesome. And it left me feeling a little bit more confident about what it could be like on the way back, and just feeling like I can do this. Like, we can still travel. We're going to be okay. I mean, obviously Dave still has one, hopefully when he gets kind of cleared, and in the future we'll be able to experience that again together, and he'll have to have his moment of facing that, and hopefully he'll be in a much better place too. But I felt proud of myself for that moment. And it was a whirlwind of a trip. We flew out Friday, got into Boston around 6:00 because things were delayed a little bit, just a little bit. Got our rental car and right away started driving up to Maine from Boston. And it took us about 4.5 hours. So we got in really, really late. And then the next day, we were just excited to get ready for the wedding, kind of scout out the place, eat some good breakfast. We had a great breakfast that morning. And then the wedding was a bit of a different plan than we had thought. Obviously, every wedding day is unique and unpredictable because you never know what the weather will be like on a wedding day. And even though it was peak fall colors in Maine, it was so gorgeous. I've never seen so many red trees and just yellow and orange trees, and it was so beautiful. We were in deep North Maine, like in the mountains in a ski town. And so it was gorgeous, like peak fall colors, but it was a very cold, foggy, and rainy. So I think we really did not ever get to experience what like those views would have been like on a clear day. Really see the ranges, really see the rolling hills of colors, all of those kind of things. So that kind of changed things a little bit, especially for our couple. They had really hoped we could go up on top of this mountain for their first look, and this beautiful outdoor ceremony ended up being moved inside. And, it's always sad. Like, for anybody who's getting married or who experiences being in a wedding where the couple does not get what they originally planned, it is hard. It's definitely a heart squeezer. Like, you look forward to these moments for a very long time. You picture it going a certain way, and things change. And I had been feeling like a little bit bummed about this ourselves. Just we're like, oh, we came here, we really wanted to capture this a certain way. But I also kept thinking, like, you know what? If there's anybody who can really try to make the best of this situation, who has a lot of experience of working in less than ideal conditions, it's me. And so I just tried to lean into that a little bit and focus on what felt really beautiful about the day that we were having, right? It's like in those moments, you kind of have to switch into being extra present. Like, what is beautiful about this day? What colors are like standing out to me? Where can we go that we're not going to get drenched in rain? Just all of those kind of things. Like, what is beautiful about the indoor ceremony? I mean, they ended up having their ceremony where their reception was, which is like in this kind of lodge type cabin, tons of like logs, and they filled it with beautiful candles. I mean, it ended up being absolutely stunning also. So, we just rolled with it, and it ended up being a really fun, amazing day. One of the best dance floors I've seen in a long time, which is kind of crazy to say because I've seen a lot of amazing dance floors this year. It's been a really good party year. And yeah, then the next morning we woke up, got in the car, and made our way back to Boston. It was really fun to drive not during the dark. Like, we actually got to see all of the countryside and all of the beautiful colors. We got to stop for lunch in New Hampshire and get some lobster rolls, which were absolutely amazing. I've never had one before, and that felt like a really awesome experience. It was really, really good. And we got to sit in this restaurant that looked right out on this harbor that had all these boats and this bridge, and it was just so picturesque. It was so cool. And then fought through Boston traffic trying to get back to Boston, and ended up having a less good than the other flight back home. It was okay. Like, it was very turbulent. The seatbelt sign was on for most of it, and like the flight attendants were grounded for most of it because of, I mean, it wasn't like scary turbulence, like where you're like holding on for like dear life, but it was just like a little uncomfortable. And so it made for a little bit of a more stressful flight back. But I will say we landed 45 minutes early, which was pretty crazy and also worked out really well. So I did it. Like, all of that is just to say I was so scared about facing this and about having to take all of that stress of traveling on during a time when, like, I've been very stressed out anyway. And it really just showed me, like, you can face things as they are. We can really slow down. And that's just something I've been thinking a lot about this year, honestly. 2021 has been a really hard year. And I know that that's not just for me. I know it's for so many of you too. I feel like we are feeling the effects of the pandemic in a totally different way. And it is so, so stressful. In fact, Dave was talking to a person in the urgent care who's a doctor there, and he said, I'm seeing so many people like in your age range, like, so like, I guess like millennials, like 30-year-olds, late 20-year-olds, probably even like 40-year-olds. And he's like, I'm seeing so many people in here thinking that they're having health issues, and they're really having some mental health issues, like just so overwhelmed. And I think so many of us are feeling that. Like, even my fear around flying, like, Dave and I were talking about it before I had to leave, and we were talking about like how COVID has shaped that, like how being told, like, don't travel, like, don't go out, stay where you are, like how much that kind of affected our approach to things and what we feel safe doing and not safe doing on even a subconscious level. So it's so hard when you think about it all at once. And I have a tendency to do that. Like, I've just been thinking of like from September 1st to about October 24th for me is just feels like this huge, heavy bucket that I have to just be so preoccupied with. And I am proud of myself for the strategies I've put into place that I wasn't sure would work. Like, just making sure I'm not working till midnight every night on the computer, right? I'm really trying to be more intentional about finding time to meditate and finding evenings where I can wrap things up, put things in a place where I can deal with them tomorrow, and try to have more free time. Even if some of that free time is spent doing laundry or vacuuming my house at 10 o'clock at night or things like that, just not being stuck in just work. And it's really hard for me because one, I have a lot going on, but two, I am I'm recognizing, that's a good word. I'm recognizing that a lot of what I'm facing are just control issues. It's how I feel safe moving through life. And I have to start letting go of that because it's not healthy. It's not productive. It is not moving me towards who I want to be. It is keeping me stuck in the past. And I don't consciously want to be there, but there's parts of me that are still holding on so tight. And, even just realizing some of the stuff about planes or like being in tunnels or even like being afraid of the dark, like all of these places where these fears come up and some of these, kind of fear, phobia type stuff, they are all having to do with not being able to be in control. And that's where faith comes in, right? Like, and faith is, I think, something that you have to define for yourself, because the definition of faith is having strong conviction in something. It's that feeling that is connected to a confidence, right? Like and belief. Like, what do you believe in? Do you have faith in yourself? Do you have faith in your religion? Do you have faith in a spiritual system that works for you? Like, what do you have faith in? Do you have faith that no matter what comes to you, that you can carry on, that you can move through it, that you can figure it out? And, it's like that thing that Marie Forleo says is like, everything is figure outable. And I love it when I can switch into that place where I do have faith, where I do feel like everything is figure outable, where I'm not feeling trapped by the fears and the unknown and the worry that somehow I'm going to fail. And it feels really good to say, yeah, I might fail. I might not succeed. I might see in hindsight that I should have made a different decision, or that things could have gone differently if I had been more prepared or whatnot. Or maybe I did the best that I could and I've learned. And failure doesn't mean I am a failure, like I am unworthy, I am a screw up. Failure means that didn't work. It doesn't have anything to do with who we are as humans, our worthiness. And so I've been really trying to switch that a little bit. And I'm really excited for this week's new moon and just being at the beginning of this new month. Even if you feel like you haven't had a, good few days to really transition into a new month of October, we are getting ready to have this new moon on Wednesday, the 6th. And this is a new moon that is going to be in Libra. So Sun is in Libra, the moon will be in Libra, the sky will be dark, and Mercury is in Libra as well as Mars is in Libra. So there's a stellium happening, a lot of energy happening in Libra. And, usually new moons are about new beginnings, new intentions, really setting stuff into motion. And it kind of depends on what you want to create, because we do still have this energy of this Mercury retrograde happening. And we have all of this in the sign of Libra, which is all about collaboration and partnership and communication and beauty and fairness and justice, and especially in relationship, right, with others. So I feel like this could be an extra wonderful time to not pick a brand new beginning, but something that you've already been working on that can use a little bit of new energy, right? Like, what's something you need to circle back to that needs some new inspiration or that needs to be picked back up and reworked? This is a great time for that. And that can really have to do with those relationships that you have, those conversations that you need to be having. And that could be something that you need to say, or it could be the opportunity to become a really good listener. I know for me, the thing that's coming up for me right now as I sit here is I think there's a lot of things that I need to say to people in my life that I don't say for whatever reason. Maybe because it's easier, maybe because it feels awkward, maybe because I don't want to hurt anybody. And I think that maybe this is a great opportunity to take a look at those areas where you've been holding yourself back and figure out if you're ready to start anew, to start making a new path forward for yourself, where you can be a little bit more transparent, or just you want more flow through those corridors that you've been kind of blocking for the sake of making it easier for other people. And so once you kind of know what you want to do with that, it's all about intention, right? It's like you don't have to just go blurt it out and have this awkward confrontational moment, right? Like, no, you can really think, how do I want to say this? How can I make the other person feel comfortable? How can I be heard by the other person? How do I need to approach them in order to be heard by that person? And how can I have faith in myself that even if things do get a bit tense or things do get a little bit awkward, that I can stay rooted in what I need to say, that I can figure out what works for me, and I can get through this. Like, we can get through this. Yeah, I feel like that is just a really important thing, at least for me to consider right now, because I don't want to just stay moving through the next 4 weeks like I have been through the last 5 weeks. The last 5 weeks, although they had better survival mode techniques than other times in my past, which is good, it means I'm growing, I definitely have been in survival mode. You know, like, I haven't weighed myself. I have not had a lot of opportunity to care about what I've been eating or track my calories. Something that, if you guys remember, like back in April, was something I committed to and I really, really worked on. And I've been giving myself a little bit of grace with that because obviously right now is not the best time to really focus on that. But at the same time, that was a commitment for me. And there are things that I need to do for me, and they can change. I am in the power is what I was going to say. I have the power to change how I'm going to focus on things or rework things. I can change what my priorities are at any given moment, but I want to do so with intention, and I don't want to lose what matters to me. So this morning, after I got back, I did let myself sleep as much as I needed to, because this weekend I did not get much sleep, and it was a lot of travel and a lot of freezing temperatures and a lot of, it was a lot in a good way for sure, but it was a lot. And I let myself sleep, and then I went and I walked on my treadmill for an hour and got emails done, and that felt great. And I went and ate breakfast, and I just sat in the quiet. I didn't bring my phone. I just sat and ate with intention. And that feels like a good start. You know, so I feel like new month, October might still be busy, but it is still a wonderful time to really embrace this new energy. And the last thing I'll say is just, I guess, a little combination of the astrology that I've sprinkled throughout this astrology check-in, and then also accumulation of what I've been saying, is that with October, you know, a lot of these planets are in Libra, and Libra is an air sign. And anytime we're in a lot of air energy, there is a changeableness, right? Like, it's not mutable. Like, Libra is actually a cardinal sign, so there's a lot of initiation energy with Libra, but any air sign is creative and intellectual and can change their mind quickly, can see multiple sides of things, can go in multiple directions. So as the winds of change kind of bring in this new season and the temperatures start to drop and the earth gets colder and the days get darker, let's just see if we can really remember, like, it's okay for us to change too. In whatever way we need to change, whatever parts we need to accept of ourselves. even if where we are right now is different from who we used to be, or if we need to move in a direction that is tough for us to let go of. It's something that we can embrace, and that with intention, maybe even with this new moon on the 6th, we can really hold on to that and put it out into the universe and really start to incorporate into our lives. So let's do a card drawing for the end of today's episode. And today I have Gabriella Berenstein's deck, Super Attractor. And let's see what comes up here. Okay, I just got 2 cards because they were stuck together. And the first one says, when I'm in a state of appreciation, I'm in vibrational alignment with my true love nature. And the second card says, I feel my way into faith one step at a time. That's the card that was stuck to the back of the other one. And while I do love the, when I'm in a state of appreciation, I'm in vibrational alignment with my true love nature, I also can't help but feeling like I feel my way into faith one step at a time is really the card we needed. We just needed the other one because they were connected. It was the only way I was going to get to that one. And I love the picture on this. I'll post it on my Instagram, but it's a little like canyon, these kind of abstract boulders being connected by this bridge that goes between them. And there's a dark moon on the page as well. Yeah, feel my way into faith one step at a time. It's a process, and I know that I've been feeling really overwhelmed lately, but just kind of deconstructing that a little bit has really felt better. So, all right, everyone, that's it for today. For those of you on our Patreon page, a new meditation is coming. Actually, it will have already come by the time you are listening to this, so I hope you get a chance to check that out. A new yoga class will be coming this week, as well as information on this month's live class. So if you love these podcast episodes, let me tell you, I know you would love the A Bit From Within community. Once a month, hopefully a little bit more often once I get into my slower season, but at least once a month we have a live class where we all get on and we kind of share about a topic and kind of just chat, and then we move that into an hour-long yoga class. All of this is done via Zoom, which is really wonderful as far as scheduling goes. And it is a really big game changer. I feel like it has always been an absolutely incredible experience just connecting with people and being able to practice yoga. So if you're interested, check that out. That is with our community level of Patreon. It's $18 a month, and it gets you that class along with all of our library of yoga classes, which also includes at least two new classes a month, two new meditations a month, a new moon guide each month, a full moon guide each month, and the ability to kind of vote for what kind of topics, classes, meditations that you're needing. So check that out. And thank you all for being such just wonderful listeners and also parts of the community. If you want to stay connected, you can also just follow me on Instagram, and that's another wonderful way to connect over all of these little bits from within. I appreciate you. I'm grateful for you, and I can't wait to chat with you next week.